Do you want to? I think you should do this because
okay.
I do the telling, explaining the thing. So,
Cool.
okay.
Hello, I'm Chris,
I'm Richard.
and welcome to another episode of
I'm sure it's Richard and Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris,
And I'm Richard.
and welcome to another episode of Film Nation.
We've just been to see Waltzing with Bashir.
Waltz with Bashir.
That's really embarrassing. Which is directed by Ari Folman, and it basically it's a sort of an animated documentary comic style thing about a guy who basically a filmmaker who wants to recount his memories of the 1982 Lebanon War, and it's basically. The idea is that he can't remember anything about it apart from this one peculiar memory of him in the water and seeing these flares coming down and all these women kind of running past him. And so he goes on this journey to try and find out more about what happened and try to speak to old friends of his.
If you're a fan of Richard Linklater and his work like Waking Life, which it's quite similar to it in some way, that same kind of blurring between reality and surreality in animated form, I think there's a lot to like with Waltz with Bashir.
The first thing that you're sort of instantly drawn to, it has this incredible sort of opening sequence, which is really lushly animated with these dogs that are charging through these city streets, and it's very sort of stylised, and it's really exciting. Did you like it generally?
It's a really, you can tell it's been done on a budget, but there's so much kind of imagination in terms of the colours and in terms of what they're trying to do and the different scenes that they set up, but most of the time you don't notice. It's just sort of, it looks fantastic. A few of the times with the interview bits, I think the characters look slightly uncanny. The expressions are a bit difficult to sort of make out.
But fortunately, it doesn't delay too long on those moments. I think it very quickly goes into those stories. And I mean, what I really liked about it was I went on this journey, I think, with the film, and it very cleverly, for me anyway, the film was a little bit about that problem of how atrocities in life can happen and how we can how people involved in those events and onlookers can see that sort of thing happen, and it's kind of exploring how those things come about. And I think the film kind of goes on this quite clever journey of sort of you enjoying it and you're taking on all these stories, and then all of a sudden you're sort of hit with the realization that these things have these awful things that actually happened and all these people that were involved in it, and it's kind of got a very kind of hard hit. You're not going to walk into something like that expecting it to have a happy ending, but when it finally kind of does get to the centre of it, and you find out more about his dream that he's trying to remember. When you finally realise what that is all about, it's really kind of quite powerful stuff. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I thought that one of the techniques for me that really worked was because these are all interviews that are clearly going on. It's almost a bit like Creature Comforts, of having those sort of characters talking and then animating around it. For me, that really worked because you kind of you were listening to this story and you kind of were involved in this conversation. It felt like you were listening in on this conversation, and that sort of really drew you in a way that if it was a traditional sort of storytelling, and if it was told with a pre-scripted narrative or something, I think it wouldn't have been as I wouldn't have been so pulled into those sort of sequences.
No, definitely they're amazing, and I think the kind of the really stylized moments and the bits with the rock music really work because it's sort of how the people feel what's going on. It's a very clever way of depicting what their memory is. Having it go really surreal works very well. I mean, for me, it really justifies its animated form. It's not just they didn't do the animation just to make it look nice or because they wanted to save a bit of money. It really works within the context of the film, and it does some really good things. I gave it this number,
and I gave it a.
So why 90 and not 89 or 90.5?
For me, it was definitely a top film. Like I definitely thought it's a 5-star film for me, 100%. I absolutely think everyone should go and see it, and everyone should go and enjoy it and get a lot out of it. And I think there's plenty in there to enjoy. If anyone who loves film should be seeing something like this, it's great, and there's lots of interesting ideas. Just the fact that it's an animated documentary almost is fascinating.
I don't think it was a sort of a classic film. I think it definitely has flaws. I just don't know if I can sort of rate it as a really kind of perfect or really, really great piece of film, because I think that it does drag, but it's still, it's one of the most memorable and in its own way, one of the most powerful films I've seen in a long time. So I think it's not without its flaws, but top notch nonetheless, and one of the most imaginative, individual, interesting films I've seen in a long time.
Fantastic. Waltz, Bashir, go see it now.